Hey everybody, this is Anthony Brinkley, CEO of On the Brink Affirmation Services. And during these times, we need to all be agile in how we convey information and communicate with one another. So in keeping with that, I'm working with my dear friend, Dr. Kaleem Islam, and we're doing these webinars that we're going to be presenting to you for you taking it in. So we're going to be talking to you about today, coronavirus and managing stress. This is a pretty serious, significant situation that we're going through right now, but together we can get through it. And I think by the time that we finish with this webinar, if you don't have anything to write with, grab something to write with now. And we're going to provide you some thoughts in the form of reflection, introspection, and in some cases make the right corrections to move forward. So with that being said, let's go ahead. The bottom line is we're in this thing together and we have a long way to go, but the beauty of it is we've been through worse than this. The first thing I want you to understand is if you look at the picture that's behind you or that you can see, it has a picture of someone taking a bunch of information in the face. They're basically taking the water hose to the face, if you will. It's a humorous picture, but really it depicts what a crisis is. And simply stated, a crisis is a bunch of information, a convergence of information coming to you at one time. It could be good stuff. You could have had a baby, you bought your first house, you just moved into a new facility or different things of that nature, or it could be a pandemic going on. The first thing I want you to understand about a crisis is to acknowledge that you're in a crisis. Some of you have been in your homes and you've been laying around for a few days. You feel like you're anxious, there's a bit of anxiety, but I'm gonna hit you with something that's not in the slide. One of the things I want to hit you with is this. Collectively and individually, we're all going through a grieving process. Grieving is associated with loss. Loss of how you get around, loss of identity, loss of normalcy, how you do things. Some people have lost their lives, loss of income. So the first thing I want you to understand is it's pretty normal to go through the grieving process, but you need to acknowledge that you're in a crisis and there's a grieving process going on. And if we can actually reestablish some things or reassess where we are, we can get through this grieving process together. So know that we may be grieving. So the other thing I want to hit you with is those of you that's writing, you grab something to write something down with. I want you to just jot down at some point, even make yourself a note to write down how you're feeling. Acknowledge those feelings. Put them down on paper. The other thing I want you to do is once you write all your feelings down, write down what you still have. I still have my family. I'm in my friend's house. I'm in his studio where he has developed his platform, which is something I wasn't using before. So in the midst of losing my income, because a lot of my work stopped, but I realized that we had to get agile. So when you're going through the grieving process, you start to assess what you have and what you can reconfigure to move forward. I want to talk to you about something as it pertains to loss. When you look at what they say is social distancing, and even though I have social distancing on my slide, I just do that because it's a familiar term. I actually have a slight difference in how I communicate this particular point. I call it physical distancing because there are people that's in your life that are very, very important to you, and you may be physically from them, but you can still connect with them. So some of the issues associated with social distancing they're listed there, but I want to hit one or two of them before we move forward. And one is, if you think about when you were on the job, when we were on the job, there were so many things that were baked into what we did in our normal engagements. For example, I didn't just go to work and work all the day and then went home. There was socialization that was going on. I would ask people about their families. I'd ask them about the game. I'd ask them about how they're doing. But now that we've become socially distanced, if you will, a lot of times when people are calling folks on a job, it's almost 100%, hey, where's this product? Hey, where's that at? How come we haven't gotten that done? So a lot of our socialization has actually been limited. I want to challenge you all to, even though there are things that we have to be getting done in a different way, don't just rush through or gloss over those things that make you who you are. Take the time to connect, take the time to communicate. Also, if we're not careful, we can actually have a lot of miscommunications because we can't get context sometimes through automation and different things. So look at those things and ask yourself, what can you do more creatively to reconnect with people or connect in a different way? The downside. When we talked about people going through the grieving process, I asked you all to write this down earlier. What are you feeling? Do you feel angry? Do you feel sad? Do you feel disconnected? Do you feel like you have a loss of energy? Do you feel lethargic? These are things that are associated with social distancing. And if you're not careful, what happens is you can habituate to bad habits. You're eating a lot more than you used to, or you're drinking a little bit more than you used to, or you find yourself being very negative about things. So when we look at social distancing and things associated with that, again, if we're not careful, we can become disconnected. I posted a video earlier today, and the video was talking about not holding a tally or creating a tally or keeping a tab against people. For example, you're the one that always calls when you communicate with somebody else. You're the one that always reaches out. And you're like, I'm not gonna reach out to them until they reach back out to me. Well, you don't know if that person's going through stuff, or they're struggling, or they're having a tough moment. So I challenge you not to be petty during these times, and take the opportunity to connect or reconnect. Another element on this slide that we're talking about is group dynamics have been inhibited or been impaired in some way. Because again, we were just used to being around that group. And then even the relationship part. Listen, I tell people who have been placed in their homes, one of the first things I want you to do when you get into your house is, if you haven't done this yet, is sit down and have a family meeting and say, listen, this is my work time, this is your workspace, and you actually assign different roles and responsibilities. You come to a coherent understanding of what everyone is going to do. So I would tell somebody, listen, if you wouldn't call me when I was on the job outside the house for this, then I would ask you to hold off until I finish working. And then what that does is it kind of reestablishes boundaries within the workday. The other thing that you can do too is set up a place in the house for everyone to say, listen, where do you need to go when you need your own space? It could be your room, it could be out back. But I tell people, when you get off the job, don't go straight home, even at your home, even if you're already home. Meaning, sit in your room for a while, go out back, and kind of allow yourself to de-escalate or come down a little bit before you can re-engage with your family. So just look at different ways that we can re-engage through social distancing. So I tell people this way: there are no big I's and there are no little U's, meaning we're all equal in this thing. We're all going through a sense of loss, a sense of adjustment, a sense of reorienting ourselves to our environment. Now, what's important is you can be a part of a team but not feel like you're a part of a team. You can have people that's on your team that's introverted and they're not speaking a lot. And if you don't reach out to them, those people, they may have perspective that you're not getting, or they might feel disengaged. So if you look at this picture of the puzzle, what are we all doing to ensure that everyone knows that they're a part of the puzzle and that they're important? And if you're in a leadership position, whether it's in your home, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in your religious organization, you need to lead. And you lead by reaching out, you lead by being quiet and listening to what they will tell you that they need to become more effective. One of the biggest things that happens if people start to feel disengaged or disconnected and they fall off, because even though you have a big puzzle, if one piece is missing from that puzzle, then that puzzle will never be complete. It will never be fully impacted. And many times when people are going through crises, they suffer in silence. And since I've been a man for 54 years, I'll speak on this. Many men have this equation: distance equals safety in hard times. So we create man caves, we retreat to places that we think, until we figure it out, we're not gonna come out. I had an uncle, now I'm showing my age on this, but my uncle was a truck driver, and this was before they had GPS. He said, son, you never ask for directions. He said, as long as you have gas in your car, you're never lost. So he believed that you would never ask for directions. And a lot of men came up with that mentality that you don't ask for help, you don't say that you don't have an answer, you don't say that you're struggling. And if that's your mindset as you go through tough times, what's going to end up happening potentially is you're going to suffer in silence. And people that suffer in silence, what ends up happening is in many cases they make poor choices. There's been a study already in the month of March of this year, 2020, that alcohol abuse has gone up, alcohol consumption has gone up 55% in this country, meaning that people are habituating to poor habits. I'm telling you that you're not alone. I'm telling you to fight the impulse to retreat, to recess within yourself and away from other people, and find good ways to reconnect and reestablish with other people. So how do we do that? If you look at the picture up here, it has a radio antenna up. And what I would tell you is this. Imagine what's important to you. My friend Kaleem and I talk a lot about life, our faith, our families, our friendship. And imagine that those things that keep you who you are, they come in the form of a radio tower. Well, as long as you're near that radio tower, you can hear the source that emanates from that, or the things that emanate from that very clearly. But when you get further away because you're doubting or social distancing or you're feeling sad or you're drinking, all those other things that keep you disconnected, then the further you get away from that, the frequency starts to become interrupted by other frequencies, whether it's doubt, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear. And now, even though that radio station is still playing, you can't hear it because you're away from it. So what do you need to do? You need to reassess who you are. So write down the things that make you feel who you are. It could be your faith, it could be your God, it could be your family. It could be altruistic things that you do to help other people. And if you have gotten away from that, simply turn around, reestablish, re-engage, and reconnect. So when I do this presentation, I do a lot of stuff for the military and professional athletes, and there's a lot of stuff that's baked into their culture. And they said, Brink, how do I help people? How do I become more connected? And I said, this is how you do it. You have to love the people that's in your life, or love the people you work with. And this one guy said, I can't love the people I work with. I got in trouble for that in my last organization. I said, let me explain to you when I say what love means. Love, the first thing, L, you need to listen to the people that's around you. You need, when you listen to them, just like I'm talking to you, I'm squinting with my eyes. I'm reducing or eliminating all the distractions that's around me right now. So I'm watching your body language. I'm watching your posture. I'm watching how you're responding to my words. So I listen with my eyes by squinting with my eyes. I squint with my ears. I remove all external distractions that could maybe make the message become frustrated or obfuscated before I can get it. I can receive it or give it. So I squint with my ears. I make sure I don't have a cell phone or any other thing that could be a distraction. So L is listen. O, I observe you. The reason that you fell in love with the person you fell in love with because you watched them. You watched the thing that drew them closer to you. You watched the thing that repelled them from you. So you observe, and when you observe, you go to school on that person. And you start to understand what makes them who they are. And when they're having a tough time, through observation and listening, you can actually help them move through that by reminding them that they're not alone. That even though Christ is a bunch of information, we're in this thing together. And then V, you let them know that they have value. Listen, if something happened to you and you were extracted from my life when it wasn't supposed to happen through suicide or doubt or depression, or you removed yourself, I would never be the same. Everyone that's listening to this has value. Everyone that's listening to this means something to someone. Even if you don't see value in yourself, I'm telling you that you have value. So we listen to people, we observe them, and we show them that they have value. And we don't just let that verb value be words. We live it through action by connection or reconnection. And then E, how do you change your environment one person at a time, one opportunity at a time, one circumstance at a time? Is through empowering others to do the same. I can remember feeling really bad or really down, or even going through this thing when it first happened and I lost all of my work and I lost my ability to touch people in the way that I used to. And I remember I ran into somebody that said they had $25 to their name. And I said, well, I can help them in my own way. And when I helped them in my own way, just like you help people in your own way, I felt better about myself. And then I reminded them that even though I did something for them, their friendship and their love and their connection to me makes me a better person. So when we listen and we observe and we value and we empower, and for some of you, just like my friend Kaleem that's here with me, I want to talk to the people that's in leadership positions, whether it's in your business or in your home. Look, you're going to have a lot more come at you because that's the position that the good Lord gave you, a position of leadership. So you have to make sure that you build yourself up and that you continue to get filled up and poured into, because people are going to be coming from you looking for withdrawal. And so you have to continue to deposit in yourself. And if you do that, we're going to get through this crisis better. creativity, cultivation, and all those things are going to come forth with this. So how do we put it all together? I've challenged you today to write down how you're feeling. I've also challenged you today to write down what you perceive you've lost or what you've actually lost. I've challenged you to also say, what do you have that can work for you, that can be beneficial to you, but don't make it just about you. Make it about other people. I've reestablished a relationship with my dear friend Khalid. I know I keep mentioning him, but I'm telling you that because through this process, I had to retool, and I went to the smartest guy when it comes to doing this stuff, and you may want to deal with him too going forward. But my point is, I need you to understand that you have stuff in your life. So do an inventory, a spiritual inventory. What is your faith like? Do a mental inventory. Where's my mindset? Do a physical inventory. What do we have? And what do we have access to? So I'm challenging you right now to understand, as we summarize, a crisis is simply a bunch of information coming to you at one time. And in the midst of that crisis, you get to determine what you do. You own those choices. And through this time of social distancing and or physical distancing, how do you become more creative in establishing or reestablishing communication so you can mitigate miscommunication, you can mitigate those frustrating things, and maybe you can set a new platform within your house by setting good guidelines, by setting good parameters. And through it all, we reconnect so we don't habituate to bad things and we develop better habits. I don't want to see you all sending in your application for my 600-pound life when this is over, because you done gained 450 pounds. That's not what you're going to do. So with that being said, I want to tell you that we have a lot more to talk about going forward, and it's been my honor, it's been my privilege to talk to you, and I know that you're going to be better. Take control of this. Remember this, what you're going through is bigger than you, and it's bigger than me, but it's not bigger than you and me. May God bless you, may God keep you. And oh, by the way, if you're interested in some of the stuff that we're doing, you can reach us on the website that's listed below. And then also, people are always asking me, where can I get your books? Because I'm working on my 4th book now. And I think some of these books will help you get through some of this. So you can go to chiefanthonybrinkley.com. I'd be honored to sign the book and send them to you. But the bottom line is we're getting through this together. You're now a part of my family. I'm a part of yours. We will talk to you soon. And remember, let the rest of your life be the best of your life starting right